What's going on, my fellow degenerates? Passion here once again with another video with some Overwatch 2 gameplay. So today I saw a video from the OPTIX post where he kind of talked about some of the ideas for upcoming collabs that Overwatch might do, and I felt like a lot of his suggestions were pretty good, but I kind of had some of my own ideas. I took like maybe like one or two ideas like from his video, and then had some ideas from myself as well. And I ended up kind of working way too hard on this. But this video is going to be talking about a really detailed like description of some collab concepts that, with the help of some AI tools that I use, came up with, you know, some concepts for some collabs for Overwatch. I believe we have, if I'm not mistaken, I believe we have 7 of them. I could be wrong, I could be miscounting, but I wanted to kind of like span a whole bunch of different kinds of collabs that they could do. I didn't want to just stick to just anime or just TV shows or movies, or like I didn't want to just stick to one thing on that. So I came up with a bunch of them. And not only am I just going to be telling you guys what the collabs are, but I've actually gone through and thought of all the skins, thought of all the stuff in the shop bundles, thought of the stuff that goes into the challenges for rewards. You know, so it's a bit nuts. But without further ado, let's get into this list of some collab potential ideas. So starting out, the first idea that I had was a Teen Titans collab. Now I know that in his video, OPTIX post said DC. I think we can narrow it down a bit further and do a Teen Titans collab. I think that would be actually perfect. So for skins, I have Echo as Starfire, Sombra as Raven, Genji as Robin, Winston as Beast Boy, Doomfist as Cyborg, and Ramatra as Deathstroke. So included in the shop bundle for Echo, you would get a victory pose called Cosmic Hover, which features her floating in midair, kind of hand glowing with that Starbolt energy. Highlight intro would be Nova Blast, which she shows her charging a Starbolt and hurls it as it explodes, kind of in a fiery burst. The voice line you'd get with that would say, "Let the light of Tamaran guide us," which I think would be really cool. And the spray would be a stylized kind of flying pose with Starbolt trails. Moving on to Sombra as Raven, you would get a meditation victory pose, which features Sombra kind of cross-legged with a dark aura surrounding her, you know, kind of like Raven does when she meditates in Teen Titans. Emote would be Shadow Portal, where Sombra opens a demonic portal and peeks in. You could also potentially do something similar to the meditation one here as well. But, you know, it's just a thought. Obviously, you can't have Raven in this without the voice line being Azarath Metron Zenthos. Like, of course, right? You know, I mean that's kind of a given if you're doing a Raven skin for Overwatch. And obviously the spray would be like the Raven silhouette of Sombra with like glowing eyes and feathers, and it'd be really cool. Moving on to Genji as Robin, the victory pose would be Batarang Ready, which would be holding some Batarang in a defensive stance. Obviously, like I thought of, we just replace Genji Shuriken with Batarangs. Like doesn't that just work perfectly? And the highlight intro that comes with this would be Tactical Entry, which shows Genji dropping from above in shadow and then cape swirling while he throws the Batarang and poses. The voice line obviously would be Titans Go, which I think would be great. And for the spray, I would just do the Robin emblem, right, for Genji's spray. For Winston as Beast Boy, the victory pose would be Animal Shift, which shows him kind of like half transformed with green energy, like so he's normally Winston in one half of it, but the other half is kind of like him transforming into another animal. And speaking of that, the emote I had an idea of was transform, where he could transform into different animals briefly. And this could be like a legendary emote, similar to what Zarya has for her mystery gift. You know, if you get the mystery gift Zarya and she pulls out the present, and each time it's something different, right? You could either like pull out like infinite presents, or you could pull out a teddy bear, or you could pull out like other things, you know. So yeah, I think that'd be cool. The voice line, I couldn't think of like a good like quote voice line for Winston, so the voice line is monkey business, try every animal. And the spray would be like kind of like a primal raging Beast Boy Winston. I think that'd be cool. Because doesn't Beast Boy in like Teen Titans like do a similar kind of like primal rage thing? I'm pretty sure he does. Moving on to Doomfist as Cyborg. The victory pose would be scan mode, which shows like it says holograms project from arm as he locks on, which I think would be kind of cool. Emote and Sonic Cannon. Now obviously we can't change Doomfist's gauntlet to be the actual like Sonic Cannon, but I figured what we could do is it could be him charging a Sonic Blast and releasing it as an energy pulse from his gauntlet. Kind of a similar thing. Like, it's not an actual like gun, but it can be worked around to be something similar. Obviously the voice line's gotta be booyah, right? Like, it'd be kind of funny to hear Doomfist say booyah. You know? I think that'd be kind of funny. And also, like, I tried with some of these, tried to think of ones that were like cool but also could be like spammable, you know, because I think those are always fun. And obviously the spray would be Cyborg Doomfist kind of working on his gauntlet, right? So moving on to the final one from the Teen Titans collab that I thought of, obviously, is Ramatra as Deathstroke. Victory pose would be target acquired, which would be a single eye glowing red as he stands kind of poised. Highlight intro would be named the same thing. So it would be from a POV perspective of Deathstroke as Ramatra Deathstroke locking onto a target before the camera kind of spins around and shows him kind of towering over the camera kind of menacingly. I think that'd be kind of cool. The voice line that I picked was actually a quote from Teen Titans that I thought fit Ramatra really well. That says, "Your optimism is really adorable." I think that'd be a great voice line for Ramatra. And the spray would be a stylized Deathstroke logo with the 01X tag, which has a lot of significance in Teen Titans lore. So yeah. And for the challenge rewards, which are, you know, the ones you get for just doing challenges that they have for the collab, you get a weapon charm of Robin's Batarang. You get a spray of the Teen Titans lineup in kind of the Overwatch style. You get another voice line for Ramatra, which is another quote from Teen Titans, where he says, "I'm not done with you yet," which I think would be fantastic. The name card would be Jump City Skirmisher, which would show like Titan's Tower, you know, on the name card. And you get a player icon of Beast Boy's paw symbol. But those are the challenge rewards. Moving on to our second collab idea. And this is one that Deemsy's kind of brought up in his video as well. A Fallout collab, considering now that Microsoft owns Bethesda and they now own Blizzard, you can have a lot of that, like, you know, cross promotion between a lot of Microsoft franchises now, including Bethesda ones. So a Fallout collab is definitely on the table. For skins, I have Reinhardt as the T-45 power armor, Moira as an Enclave scientist. I have two skins that are kind of similar, one for Kiriko and one for Cassidy, where they're both vault dwellers. One for Mauga as a super mutant behemoth, and one for Baptiste as the Courier, or Courier 6. So for Reinhardt in the T-45 power armor, you get a victory pose called Vault Guardian, which is kind of like a power armor stance, you know, fists at the sides. Highlight intro would be Power Slam, where he kind of drops from above and then dusts off his shoulder. You get a voice line that says, "For the Brotherhood of Steel." I thought that'd be cool. And for his spray, it's like kind of like the power armor silhouette with the Brotherhood seal behind it. For Moira, as the Enclave scientist, I have victory pose Field Research, which shows her holding a glowing syringe and analyzing data. For an emote, I have Gene Sample, which is where she extracts and examines a DNA sample. The voice line says, "For the good of the Enclave," of course, which is really cool. And the spray would be the Enclave logo with like experimental vials maybe around it. For, like I say, for Kiriko and Cassidy, I have very similar things because it's kind of like, you know, a male and female version of the Vault Dweller, considering that's what you can do in-game. You can choose a male or female Vault Dweller. So the victory pose is Stimpack ready / Radaway ready. For Kiriko, it would be Stimpack ready. For Cass, it would be Radaway ready, and where they would pull out, you know, either a Stimpack or a bag of Radaway. The emote, which would be shared by both characters, is VATS Lock-On, which kind of mimics the VATS targeting with reticles appearing, which would be really cool. Maybe you could even like do that on your teammates, so where you'd like pop this emote and like the VATS would just pop up for different areas of your teammates. I think that'd be kind of cool. They share the same voice line, which would be War Never Changes, obviously, and their spray would be the Vault-Tec logo. So yeah, that's the one for Kiriko and Cassidy. Then we have for Mauga, we have the Super Mutant. The victory pose is Me Smash, which is laughing mid-roar with fist clenched. Highlight intro would be Radiation Rampage, where he charges forward, knocking everything aside. You can make that look like really cool, I think, and kind of Fallout-y if you wanted to. The voice line is Muty Strong, Muty Win, which is just hilarious. And the spray is a graffiti-style text where it says Super Mutant, kind of across the wall. That'd be really cool. For the Courier, for Baptiste, I have his victory pose and his emote kind of similar, which is Desert Standoff, where it's kind of him striking a pose similar to the cover art of Fallout New Vegas, which I thought was cool. The voice line for Baptiste would be from Mojave to Midtown, I've got this. And the spray would be the Courier kind of helmet with a sunset backdrop. I think that'd be kind of cool. For the challenge rewards for the Fallout collab, you would get a Nuka-Cola weapon charm, which I think would be really cool. The spray would be obviously the Pip-Boy, giving the thumbs up. Voice line for Kiriko and Cass, like, I initially had this as War Never Changes, and I thought of, wait, I got something funnier. Another settlement needs our help. I'm like, yes. I mean, I know that's Preston Garvey's voice line, but, like, come on. Like, you gotta throw that in there somehow. The name card could be, like, Vault Escape, where it could show, like, you know, one of the Vault Dwellers kind of, like, exiting the vault. That'd be kind of cool. And the player icon would be, like, kind of like would be a vault door symbol, as well. So moving on to number 3. Now I'll be completely honest. If any of this is like weird or wrong, it's because I don't understand the IP, because I don't engage with the IP enough. But I thought of this and I'm like, you know, what could they do for one that's not super based on something like super mainstream, but still kind of cool, you know? And I thought of something that I've seen a lot of other games collabing with, and that's VTubers. And what's a bigger name in VTubing than HoloLive? So for HoloLive, I figured, well, let's get 6 skins, 2 from each of their main divisions, HoloLive Japan, HoloLive EN, and HoloLive Indonesia, and give skins to Overwatch characters. So if I butcher these names, if I butcher anything to do with the lore, I am sorry. I don't regularly watch VTubers, and when I do, it's typically not HoloLive. so forgive me if I fuck this up. But for Diva, we have Tokino Sora, which is from HoloLive Japan. For Brigitte, we have Usada Pecora from HoloLive Japan, which actually I found out recently, I believe, that Pecora is actually getting a collab in, I believe, Death Stranding 2, I think, which is going to be interesting. For Kiriko, I have Oru Kuroni from HoloLive EN. For Moira, I have Mori Kalopi from HoloLive EN. For Juno, I have Kobo Kanaru from HoloLive Indonesia. And for Tracer, I have Kayla Kovalskia from HoloLive Indonesia. So those are all the skins. Here's what you would get in the shop bundle. For D.Va, you get the Peaceful Idol Victory pose, which flashes like kind of like a gentle peace sign with a spotlight. You get an emote called Lipstick Dance, or Light Stick Dance, that's what that says. Where she kind of does an idle spin with glowing light sticks, although Lipstick Dance would be kind of funny as well. Anyways, the voice line would be D.Va brings the bass, which would be kind of cool. And the spray, which I did kind of look it up and kind of picturize it in my head, like, okay, that looks kind of sick, is kind of a cross between Sora's logo with D.Va's, with like music notes around it. When I looked up what Sora's logo actually was, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that'd be kind of cool. So, yeah, that's that one. One of the ones I do know a little bit more about is Usada Picora, so that's going to be Brigida's skin, obviously. The victory pose is Bonk Patrol, which is obviously holding the frail. She would have her like flail over her shoulder and be winking. It says hammer here, but I can't substitute the flail for a hammer, so it would be the flail. The emote would be Peko Hop, which would have her like kind of bouncing in place, ears flopping. The voice line would be Usa Usa bonking coming Pico, which I'm fairly positive is something that Picora says. The spray obviously would be the flail with like bunny ears and carrot motifs kind of all around it, which would be kind of fun. For Kiriko, we have Orochrony. The victory pose would be Timekeeper, which is showing her holding a glowing hourglass. The emote would be Clockwind, where she twists hand and spins a clock dial in midair. The voice line would be Kronos bows before me. And the spray would be a clock sigil with like a glowing blue edge around it. For Moira, as Mori Calliope, the victory pose would be Death's Whisper, which shows the cloak flaring as she kind of holds a scythe pose. The highlight intro would be Reaping Rhythm, where she slices in tempo with beat lines trailing. I don't quite understand what they're getting at with that. I don't quite understand what ChatGPT was getting at with that, but we'll go with it. The voice line is You can't outpace death, but you can dance with it. And the spray would be a kind of like neon skull halo design. For Juno, as Kobo Kanaru, the victory pose would be Bubble Pop, showing like spinning a staff with water splashes. The emote would be Gremlin Charge, where she shakes fists angrily while water spouts erupt, which would be kind of funny. That'd be kind of like a toxic ass emote, I think. You could totally make that a toxic emote. The voice line would be I'm cute, I'm chaos, except both, which fits Juno great. And the spray would be a storm cloud with like a chibi gremlin Juno. And finally for Tracer as Kayla Kolvaskia, we have the victory pose Ironforge Ready, which shows them crossed arms kind of leaning back with sparks flying. The emote would be Blacksmith Spin, showing them spinning a glowing hammer. I don't know how that would work with Tracer's kit, but maybe we could do it as some kind of like hologram kind of thing or magic thing, something like that. The voice line would be I don't take breaks ever, and the spray would be a flaming forge symbol with a stopwatch background. So the challenge rewards would be a weapon charm. You could get a either a Pico Bomb or a small Picora plush, whatever the two. Maybe like a carrot would be good too. The spray would be an idle stage group pose. You get another voice line for Brigitte saying Pico Pico you better run. The name card would be Hololive Perfect Sync, probably showing all the skins together like on a stage, kind of similar to what like the spray kind of does. And you could get a player icon, which would be the Carrot Mic logo with Holo EN / Indonesia / Japan accents. So if I fucked up any of that, again, I apologize. I don't watch too much Hololive. But moving on, let's talk anime, right? And what would be a cool anime collab for them to do? That would be Chainsaw Man. Why don't we have a Chainsaw Man collab? Now, I'll be honest, I haven't seen much of Chainsaw Man either, so I could be about to get this one incredibly wrong as well. But let's go over this. So for skins, we would get a Reaper as Denji. Obviously, I would probably want to do his full, like, transformed you know, Chainsaw Man one, not just boring human Denji. So yeah, do the full like Chainsaw Man Denji with his shotguns kind of like being stylized as chainsaws. Maybe they could even spin as well. That'd be kind of cool. Mercy as Makima, Freya as Power, Genji as Aki Hayakawa, and Moira as Himeno. So with the Reaper Denji skin, you would also get the Victory Pose Chainsaw Grin, which is teeth showing, kind of chainsaws on the guns revving, kind of similar to the pose you see like in Chainsaw Man merch, you know, of like the main key art for Chainsaw Man. The highlight intro would be Rip Through, which where he shows him like lunging forward in a chainsaw flurry. That'd be kind of cool. The voice line, I love the voice line I came up with this. It's chainsaws solve everything. Like that's so Reaper. That's so Reaper right there. And the spray would be kind of like a bloody silhouette with Denji in kanji. Moving on to Mercy as Makima. Would be the victory pose would be domineering, with one hand raised, kind of like in a commanding submission, right? The emote would be leash, where she kind of swings a psychic leash. Initially, I had it like pulling a psychic leash, and then I'm thinking like, how would that work as an emote? I don't understand. So I changed it to like swinging a psychic leash. I think that'd be cool. The voice line would be "You'll obey, you always do," which is oh my god, I can just picture the fucking E-kittens using this skin. Jesus Christ. The spray would be spiral eyes kind of overlay with angel wings. I think that'd be cool. Moving on to Freya as Power. The victory pose would be Blood Queen, showing like the weapon kind of holstered over her shoulder, smirking. The emote would be Sniff Test, where she kind of like sniffs the air dramatically, kind of like Power does. The voice line would be "I'm the strongest, duh," which would be cool. And the spray would be kind of like a bloody crown and horns. I think that'd be kind of cool. With Genji as Aki Hayakawa, the victory pose would be Cigarette Flick, where he tosses a cigarette while he draws the Dragon Blade. Emote would be Fox Contact, where he forms a seal and a brief shadow of the Fox Devil appears. That'd be pretty cool. The voice line would be Control costs everything. Which would be kind of nice. And then the spray would be his like Dragon Blade, katana, and a black glove overlay. And finally, with Moira as Himeno, we have the victory pose Ghost Kiss, with eyes closed and a ghost arm on her shoulder. Highlight intro is Eye Patch Flash, where she would pull off the eye patch with a telekinetic burst. The voice line would be Cheers, partner. And the spray would be kind of like flower petals and a ghost arm motif. For challenge rewards, you could have a Puchita weapon charm. I think that'd be cool. For a spray, you could get a chainsaw slash design. For a voice line, I got another one for Reaper, which I guess is a quote from the show where it says, "A corpse is talking," which would be cool. The name card would be Devil Hunter Agency, and the player icon would be kind of like a smiling Puchita. I think that'd be cool. Moving on to number 5, we have something that would be cool for a tie-in during Halloween Terror. Because I know like a couple years ago we got that collab, technically it was a collab with Diablo for Halloween Terror. So why not do another collab for Halloween Terror, this time being Resident Evil. And for this, I have Freya as Ada Wong, Juno as Jill Valentine, Sigma as Nemesis, Ramatra as Mr. X, Soldier 76 as Albert Wesker, and Cassidy as Leon S. Kennedy. So for Freya as Ada Wong, you'd get the Crossbow Confidence Victory pose, which is her holding a crossbow aimed low, striking kind of like a sultry sideways glance. Emote would be Lock and Load, where she kind of reloads her crossbow with some flair. The voice line would be Never Count Me Out. And the spray would kind of be like Ada Wong Freya doing kind of like a high kick. I think that'd be kind of cool, similar to like that fight scene that she has in RE4 with Leon. So that'd be kind of cool. For Juno as Jill Valentine. Now, I'm not sure which version you use. I'm kind of more leaning towards the OG Jill Valentine, like, you know, from RE1 kind of look. for Juno. The victory pose would be Bravo Team Ready, which shows her weapon drawn at shoulder height, kind of in an alert pose. The highlight intro would be Zombie Standoff, where it shows her shooting a lunging zombie kind of off screen and does a quick combat roll, which would be kind of cool. And the voice line would be Stars Never Quits, and obviously the spray would be the Stars badge, which would be really cool. For Sigma as Nemesis, which I can imagine how sick that would look, the victory pose is Stars, where it shows him kind of like growling with his body kind of looming forward. The emote would be Tentacle Swipe, where he swings kind of like his grotesque mutated limb with like a heavy recoil. The voice line would be Stars, you know, kind of how Nemesis growls that. That would be Sigma doing that as well as Nemesis. That'd be cool. And the spray would be a Biohazard logo warped into Sigma's kind of gravity motif. Moving on to Ramatra as Mr. X, the victory pose would be Looming Threat, where he kind of stands silent and motionless, kind of hat shadow obscuring his face. The highlight intro would be Silent Pursuit, where he kind of steps slowly into frame and then grabs the camera POV. The voice line would be Your Time Has Expired. And then the spray would be an X mark over a city skyline, kind of stylized to fit with the game. Moving on to Soldier 76 as Albert Wesker. The victory pose would be Calculated Menace, showing him adjusting glasses with like glowing eyes. The emote would be Ouroboros Pulse, where he extends his hand and unleashes a mock viral energy wave. The voice line would be You Can't Stop Evolution. And the spray would be black glasses kind of shattered over the umbrella logo, which I think would be really cool. And finally, as Cassidy as Leon S. Kennedy, I'm thinking you might want to go for the RE4 Leon here. The victory pose would be Ready for Anything, which shows his like gun drawn in a low kind of ready stance, his jacket kind of fluttering. Highlight intro would be One Man Rescue Mission, where he kicks open a door and dives into cover. I think that'd be really sick. I don't know how you would pull that off, but considering they have a highlight intro with him just spawning a casket out of nowhere and opening it, I'm sure that they could figure it out. The voice line, and you know I had to do it. You know I had to do it. Where's everyone going? Bingo? You know I had to do it. And the spray would be kind of Leon's police badge and jacket, black design with like a revolver silhouette around it. I think that'd be cool. And for the challenge rewards for the Resident Evil collab, we could get a RPD badge weapon charm, a Umbrella Corp logo spray, a voice line for Soldier 76 that says, You don't know what I've seen in the Umbrella files. The name card could be Zombie Outbreak, which could show either Cassidy or maybe Juno fighting off against zombies. And obviously the player icon would be the Umbrella Corp logo as well. Moving on to number 6 here, I wanted to do one that was kind of more grounded in the real world. So I thought about, what about fashion, right? Because I know that Fortnite a few years back had a collab with Balenciaga, and they did like a whole Balenciaga Fortnite collab thing. I thought, well, I don't want to have a luxury brand like Balenciaga, but I did want to have some kind of like fashion brand. And I ultimately decided on Puma Techwear. So this would include original skins for Sombra, Lucio, Venture, Kiriko, Lifeweaver, and Hazard. And you could have the Puma branding on it, but apart from that, like there's like it's all kind of, you know, unique and original, and it features that kind of like modern urban future vibes. So for Sombra, the skin would be called Cyber Slick. The victory pose would be Neon Hack, where she shows her leaning against a glowing wall of code, kind of looking flashy. The emote would be Gesture Scan, where she slides fingers across a holographic display. It had to be visually distinct from her sit emote, obviously. The voice line, which I love, it came up with You blinked, I already stole your look, which is great. And the spray could be a Puma claw mark with a glitch kind of overlay with it. Lucio's skin would be Pulse Raver. The victory pose would be Low End Flex, where it's him holding one speaker up, kind of like a boombox. Maybe it could even be his weapon. The emote would be Rhythm Drift, where it's like a slow-mo kind of shuffle dance with sound wave trails. The voice line would be Keep Up or Drop Out. And the spray would be kind of like a subwoofer style graffiti tag with like the visor on this skin glowing, which would be kind of cool. Moving to Venture, the Venture would have a victory pose called Eyes Forward, which shows them kind of crouched on a ledge lit only by the neon, which I don't think it understands victory poses, so I don't know how that would work. But maybe you could have it like, you know, still kind of like a crouching pose, but not like on a ledge. Just have it, you know, just kind of crouching, but like looking kind of fly. You know what I mean? Like looking kind of chill and gangsta. The emote would be Parkour Pop, where they leap forward, roll, and fist pump. I don't quite understand what's going with for that either, but we're gonna go with it. The voice line, which I do like, their voice line is Shortcut Unlocked, which I think is really cool. And the spray would be a chrome rat with trail overlays. Again, not quite sure what it's going for Venture here, but I could see like a future modern fashion Venture skin in a Puma collab, you know what I mean? So moving on to Ghost Runner for Kiriko. The victory pose would be Hood Up, which shows them like kind of facing away, like the Fox mask kind of glowing behind her shoulder. The emote would be Shadow Dash, where it shows her kind of vanishing and then reappearing a few feet ahead in smoke. I think she might have an emote kind of similar to that, but I don't know. I have to double check again. And the voice line, which I do like, voice line says "Can't hit, but you can't track." I think that's pretty cool for Kiriko. And the spray would be kind of like a Kitsune mask with neon shards. I think that'd be cool. Moving on to the skin for Lifeweaver, which I know Lifeweaver doesn't give a whole lot of love in the skin department, so this is welcome. It would be called Urban Bloom, and the victory pose would be Vertical Garden, which shows him kind of holding his flower in one palm. Again, I'm fairly positive that he has a victory pose similar to this, so it would have to be like distinctly different. And his emote, which is Pedal Pulse, would show him growing a techno flower that sparkles and closes, which I don't know really how that would work either. Considering I'm sure he has a emote similar to that. But yeah. Moving on to his voice line is Nature Evolves, Darling, which I think is pretty great. And his spray would be a kind of floral spiral wrapped around a cityscape, which would be kind of cool. And the good thing with these Puma collab skins is even if like the AI tool that I use here is not like getting it right, like you can at least kind of maybe visualize it, right? Like you can if it's not exactly what it's saying here, you can maybe kind of get an idea of what it's going for. And the final one is a Titan Synth skin for Hazard with the System Check Victory pose, which shows him lifting the visor of this skin and with an internal scan HUD kind of glowing is what it says. Again, not quite sure how that would work. This AI, man, it has a vision. It has a vision for what this is that I do not understand. The emote is Power Surge, where it sparks, like it says, sparks cascade as mechanical joints recalibrate, which I can kind of see that for Hazard. That'd be kind of cool. The voice line, which obviously I'm not going to do in a Scottish accent, but you can kind of get the idea, is You'll Rust Before I Short Out, which is kind of cool. And then the spray is Cyber Armor, like a Cyber Armor schematic with claw slashes. I think that'd be cool. For the challenge rewards, you could get a holographic sneaker charm as a weapon charm. The spray would be Lucio kind of posing in some like a street style. Somber, which I do like, is a variation on her classic Hack the Planet, one where it says Hack the Streets, which I think is really cool. The name card would be Neo Runway, and then the player icon could be kind of like a Puma claw mark through the Overwatch logo, which I think would be sick. And the final collab idea that I have here, if you've bared with me through this insanely long, crazy video, and dealt with my rambling up to this point. I know in Deemsy's video in the Omnic post, he brought up the idea of doing another collab with a musician, but he didn't want it to be another K-pop group. He said maybe some kind of like rock or metal group would be cool. And I'm thinking to myself, well, he didn't give a really example of any bands he could think of. But I'm like, well, what would be a good collab for doing like a rock or metal band? And then it clicked with me. Bring Me the Horizon. Let's do a Bring Me the Horizon collab with Overwatch 2. So for this, I have 6 skins again. We have a skin for Junkrat, Orisa, Reaper, Mercy, Sombra, and Hazard. So the Junkrat skin would actually be mimicking Ollie Sykes, the lead singer, like a concert look that Ollie Sykes would have. The victory pose would be Stage Dive, which showed him holding a mic mid-scream, one leg propped up on an amp, which I think is really cool. Probably could be like his actual, like, you know, peg leg, kind of propped up on the amp. That'd be kind of sick. Similar to the victory pose that Lifeweaver got in season 16 here. I think that'd be cool. The emote is Mic Swing, where he does kind of like a full mic cable twirl, kind of like a showman. His voice line, which I kind of came up with, is a reference to Bring Me the Horizon song called N.A., where he says, "My name is Junkrat," and then pretending to be like other people in a high-pitched tone, he's like, "Hi, Junkrat." I thought that'd be cool. And then the spray is a stylized Bring Me the Horizon skull logo over graffiti that says Spite. For Orisa, I got inspired by the cover art of Post-Human Next Gen, and basically like designed, like had an idea of a Orisa skin that looked like that cover art from Post-Human Next Gen. So essentially, you know, that's you know, the head of Orisa would be that, essentially, if you ever seen the Post-Human Next Gen cover. The victory pose would be Awakened Shell, which shows Orisa kind of hovering slightly above the ground. Her like arms kind of like, and her legs kind of like sprayed out a little bit. The highlight intro would be just called Next Gen, where it kind of shows her awakening with like glitchy effects and a menacing look. Kind of somewhat similar to the rebooting one, but a little bit more like menacing. You know what I mean? The voice line would be Order, Evolution, Let's Corrupt Both. I think that's kind of cool. And the spray would just be kind of like the cover art of Post-Human Next Gen, but with obviously this Orisa skin in its place, like replacing the character on the cover. I think that'd be cool. For Reaper, we have the Sempiternal skin, obviously referencing the album Sempiternal by Bring Me the Horizon. The victory pose would be called Shadow Moses, as would the emote, where, and obviously the emote is kind of like a more animated version of the victory pose, which is him kind of like doing an over the shoulder kind of look that shows off the Sempiternal logo on the back of his cloak. Obviously, the voice line has to be "Can You Feel My Heart?" Obviously. And the spray would be kind of like a heart with cracked edges and digital lines around it. Would be kind of cool. For Mercy, we have the Angel Core skin. Her victory pose would be Halo Bloom, which shows her radiant wings kind of glowing with like a jagged white light. The highlight intro would be Ascend and Shatter, which shows her like floating upward and then light kind of explodes outwards from her. The voice line would be Even Angels Scream, which I think is great. And the spray would be a stylized kind of Bring Me the Horizon angelic sigil with glitchy kind of overlays on that. For Sombra, we have Glitch Punk, which the victory pose would be Signal Jammer, which shows her kind of with crossed arms in the background behind her flickering with like an error code. I think that'd be kind of cool. The highlight intro is Neon Override, which kind of shows A cyber dagger being thrown upward, freezes midair, and then shatters into neon shards, and then Sombra teleports through the chaos and reappears in front of the camera, grinning as her visor flickers BMTH in glitchy text. What is it with the AI and wanting everyone to have a visor? I don't get it. But hey, I mean, it's cool. The voice line would be every scream has a frequency, which is kind of cool for Sombra. And the spray would be like Bring Me the Horizon letters, BMTH, distorted in like a kind of like a corrupt code kind of thing, which would be cool. And Hazard would be called, his skin would be called Cyber Metal. The victory pose would be horns, which is basically just him throwing up like the devil horns. Emote is headbang, which shows him like throwing up the devil horns and actually headbanging. The voice line would be, we don't mosh, we demolish, which would be cool. And the spray would be kind of like a Bring Me the Horizon tour-style poster that says Next Gen Hazard Protocol, which would be sick. The challenge rewards would be a Bring Me the Horizon Skull Heart Sigil as weapon charm, a graffiti lyric spray that says I need a purpose, the voice line for Junkrat that says Bring the Horizon, I'll blow it up. And a name card would be the like post-human album motif for on a name card, and the player icon would be a kind of like neon Bring Me the Horizon band logo. But that's all I have. I apologize, some of it was ass. I was trying to go through this as I was like, you know, trying to like go through it on AI and then put it into my script here and change stuff and make stuff better. But some of it, I will admit, is a little weird, but this is what happens when you use AI to come up with stuff like this. But if you guys somehow liked this super long skin collab concept, skin concept kind of thing, let me know what you think down below. What do you think would be some good collabs that they could do for Overwatch 2 in the future? And remember, guys, if you like the video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike, subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, I'm Passion, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Turn me on a screen, but you know